DCeric here, and today I'm going to show you how to make a single Dosbox game pack for Windows. Now this of course will make it easier for people who do not know how to use Dosbox. And that's right, you have to use as special commands to load your game. Of course there's a lot of work behind all that. This of course is not a very easy method, but at the end of it all you won't have to use the same commands to load your game. No, you can use this method for as many Dosbox games as you want, and then you'd be able to just double click on an icon to play your game. Now of course there's specific tools that you will need, and the first one of course is Dosbox. You will have to download the latest version of Dosbox so it works perfectly with your game, and of course you can get that at you can see the link at the bottom of the screen there. Sorry. It will also be available in this description below. Now of course you'll probably want to get some DOS games for yourself, and you can get them at, again, the link at the bottom of the screen there, www.dosgames.com. And of course the most essential part to this is the bat2exe converter. Of course there's a bat file that, for doing this conversion here, there's a bat file that will be your main executable to load your game. Now of course we want to make this as Windows specific as possible. By using the bat2exe converter, we'll be able to change the icon and of course get rid of the bat file altogether, and it will become a single Windows executable file, making it look and feel like it's an actual Windows software. And the next step of course is to get the inno setup compiler, again at the link below. Now you can get what this does is, of course, every software for Windows, mostly every software, uses a setup file, so you can of course install it specifically to any folder on your computer. Usually it's easier for people who do not know how to manually do all the like extracting from zip files and all that. And we're ready to go. Of course, now we're on to the tutorial. I'll see you in a bit. Alright everyone, now we're on to the first step of making a Dosbox game package. Of course you're going to want to make the bat file that we were talking about in the beginning of the video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open Notepad. And the following configuration is what you're going to want to use to make this bat file. So I'm just going to paste what I have, and this is exactly what you're going to want. And the only thing you're going to want to change to be specific for your game is you want to change where it says troy.conf. If you have other games and the conf is the configuration file is a different name, then you're going to have to use the name of that configuration file. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's double click on the Troy single pack folder here. Then we're going to double click on base. There I have the Troy conf file. That is the main configuration file in order for this to work. So again, in your bat file you're going to want to name it to the configuration file in the folder, in the base folder. Alright, so we're going to save this as next, and we're going to make sure at the bottom here you want to click on all files. You do not want to select a text file or this will not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this troy.bat. Name it after the game, because again this is going to be the main executable for your single Dosbox game package. So we're just going to press save, and then we're going to get out of there and go back, and there's the bat file there. Now if we double click on it, yep, nothing's going to happen, but later this will work. Alright, so next we're going to go on to the next step, and that is going to be setting up your Troy configuration file. Alright, so on to this next step here, we're going to be setting up the configuration file. Now of course there's one thing that I did not tell you, and that is that you want to make sure that there is a base folder inside the root of your game folder. So the only two things you want there is troy.bat and the base folder. Do not have any other file in the root, because if you do, then you're probably doing it wrong. So now we want to set up the configuration file, and we'll go to the base folder for that. I already have a configuration file already set up. Now there is way too much information to explain to set up the configuration file, but I will have the full code that I have displayed on the screen here in the description. I will explain a few things that you will need that are important here. Now, for output, you want to put that to surface when you're setting up a joystick. For some reason, when you're using openglnb or OpenGL to set up a joystick controller on DOSBox, it will not work. I had to go to surface output in order to make that work. Then after I saved the configuration for my joystick, I went back in and changed the output back to openglnb, and the controller worked no problem. Okay, so another thing here you want to look at is your autolock equals true. If you have that to false, then the mouse will be on the screen, and that again will be specific for games that use the mouse. So what you want to do is autolock equals true. So when you load up the game, there will be no mouse on the screen, and you'll be able to play your game just like any other Windows-based game. Alright, so on to the next step here. I want to show you the joystick. You want to set that to auto. Make sure that is on if you want to use a joystick for your game. I'll get onto the configuration of how to set up a joystick later, and that will help you much more. Okay, so we want to go to render here, and the next thing we want to look at is the scaler. Always have that set to normal 2x. So every single game will be full screen, and no issues at all. You'll be able to play your games just like you did on your CRT screen. This is compatible with every single monitor, no problem. And okay, so the next step here is the only thing we want to pay attention to. The main thing we want to look at here is cycles. For some games, you can have it set to auto, and you will have to pay attention to this one as well. If some games are way too slow, you want to set it to max. Troy is one of those games that need to set it to max because it will take about 5 minutes for the game to load. I am somewhat being serious here. I might be over-exaggerating the time, but it does take a little bit of time. So if you set cycles to max, it takes probably about 1.1 second, and you're right to the main menu, and it'll play, no problem. Alright, so let's see if there's anything else we have to look at here that is important. And there is the auto exec folder. So what you want to make sure is the troy.exe, as you see under auto exec. This will be the name, the main DOS application. So I'm going to do this right now so we get this this done and over with, and it's easy for you to understand. So I'm going to go to my DOS games package for the DOS game that I want to make a single pack for, and we're going to copy all the files from the game that I want to do the single pack. I'm just going to copy all those files and paste them into the base folder. And there you go. All the files are now in the base folder. And now we're going to look at again the configuration file. See how I have troy.exe there? Well, the the DOS application is named troy.exe, and it has to be the same for every single game you do. So this will be a different name again for your other DOS games. So you're going to want to name it to the DOS game that you have. The extension there might also be different as well, so pay attention to that. And now we are done setting up our configuration file, and yeah, we're on to the next step. Alright, so on this next step we're going to be setting up Dosbox for your single Dosbox game package. So the first step you're going to want to do is obviously install Dosbox. Again, if you got it from the link that I showed you at the beginning of the video, you should have the setup file and already have Dosbox set up. So what you're going to want to do now is open your main Dosbox folder that you have installed Dosbox into. And we're going to go to the base folder of your game package and grab the following files and folder. We want to grab the video codec, we want to grab dosbox.exe, and we want to grab the sdl.dll and sdl_net.dll. Then the next thing we want to do is right click and copy. And then we're going to want to paste that into your base folder. And then the other thing we want to do is rename the video codec folder up here to ZMBV. We're going to need to go to another folder now and grab some other files here. We're going to go to the Dosbox in your we got to go to the application data or app data folder and go to local and grab the configuration file. So and make sure that you're grabbing the right one. If you have more versions of Dosbox, then you're gonna want to make sure that you're grabbing the right one. Of course, I told you to get the latest, and the latest is 0.74. So we're just gonna copy that, and then we're going to paste that inside here. And that is all we need. So we're going to get out of there. And we got to make another folder. And we're going to make that the capture folder. So when you're capturing screenshots or videos within your single Dosbox game package, it will go to your capture folder. And that's pretty much about it there. So everything should be set up as we speak. There is obviously a few more steps, but we want to make sure that what we have done so far will work. Alright, so for this next step, I want to be able to test the bat file and make sure that we have everything configured properly. Okay, so note that this, after I show you this, it will pop up in a window, and that is because I edited the bat file and removed the following code that I just pasted. This minus full screen and minus exit. I'm not sure what the minus exit really means because there's an exit there, but the minus full screen. If you do not have the full screen there, then the game will show up in a window. So we're gonna just show you we're just gonna test this bat file out now and see if it loads. So double click on your bat file, and if you have everything set up, your game should load. And see, there you go. Troy has loaded for the single Dosbox package. Now again, there's more specific steps we need to do. And I think the next one we're going to do is setting up your joystick for your single Dosbox game package. Alright, so on to the next step. Alright, so now we want to set up a joystick for your single Dosbox game package. Remember how I told you earlier you have to have your output set to surface in order to set the controller up? Well, like I said, put it to surface. Again, you'll be able to use openglnb after you have done your controller setup. So the next step we want to do is open the bat file. So we're going to double click on the bat file and the game will load. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is press and hold Control and press F1. And next, the controller setup will be available. So the next thing you want to do now is set it up set your controller up to the buttons that are specific for the game. So for the arrows, we want to use the joystick for the Xbox 360 controller. And here's another issue, my friends. The hat buttons, for some reason, they will not work. I do not know why they won't work. They just don't. I've set them up and they don't. The joystick, however, does, and it actually works pretty good for this game. So yeah, just click the left arrow there, and then this stuff will pop up on the screen. All you want to do is click the add button. So when we click add, click left on your joystick, and the following buttons, down, you want to click down on your joystick. Click right, click add, right on the joystick, press up, and up on the joystick. Okay, so the next buttons you want are control, because that will be your jump button. And we're going to set that up to the A button on the Xbox 360 controller. And then the next button we want alt, and that will be the shooting power-up that Troy has on the screen. And we're going to set that up to the X button on the Xbox 360 controller. Alright, so once you have set up your controller for the game, all you want to do is press save, exit, and it will go right back to the game. And now we're going to test the joystick out and see if it works. And there we go. I am now using my Xbox 360 controller for playing Troy. Now notice that for this game, if you do download it, I have set up the up button for the joystick, and if you press up with the joystick, then you will also be jumping, because the arrow key, the arrow up key on the keyboard, also jumps. So it actually plays pretty good though. So yeah, and there you go. The joystick actually works. Now we're going to go on to the next step. Alright, so on this next step we will be converting a BAT file to an exe file. There is one other thing I forgot to tell you in the last step, and that was just so you can use the openglnb output again. So yeah, don't forget to change the surface output to openglnb, and then just click save, and then close that, and it will be ready to go. Alright, so now we're going to convert a BAT file to exe. So again, if you got the software that I linked you at the beginning of the video, the icon should look like this. We're just going to double click on that. The software will open. Now we want to search for the BAT file, and we want to go to the root folder of your package, single Dosbox game package, and grab the BAT file. Okay, here's the most specific and amazing part of this whole thing. Now you can grab an icon and make it look like an actual authentic Windows software. So I have already created an amazing icon for the game already, and I put it in the base folder. I want all my files and that to be in the main folder for the game. So we're just gonna click on that, and you can include information for the game if you want. The company, it can include the company's name, the product's name, but I'm going to leave all that out just for now, just so we can quickly show you how this works. So the next step you're going to want to do is just press compile. And that's it. Yeah, it takes a matter of just 2 seconds. So we're going to click exit here, and we're going to double click on the Troy single pack folder, and there it is. We have the troy.exe file. So we no longer need this troy.bat file at all. So we're just going to delete that. And here's the cool part too. Even though you have gotten rid of the bat file and you need to edit the configuration file, you can still do that. Just go back into the base folder, double click on your troy.conf or whatever the game is, and you can edit the settings, no problem. And just click save, and your and then double click on the exe and your game will load, no problem, just like it did with the bat file. So there you go. Now we got the exe loaded, and it loads just like a normal Windows software. And now we are going to go on to the next and final step of this tutorial. There is one more specific thing I have forgot to mention, and this is pretty important for those of you who are going to send this out to your friends. Do not forget to include the source to DOSBox in the base folder. So yeah, just go to dosbox.com. You can download the source, and you can copy and paste the source executable into the base folder. You can do it if you want. If you don't, then that's totally up to you. I'm just saying that that is a pretty important thing to do, out of respect for the creators of DOSBox. Alright, so for this next step, we're going to create a setup file for your single DOSBox game package. Now, again, if you were watching the beginning of this video, then you should have the following icon on your screen for the next step. So this is what you need to look for in a setup compiler. We're going to double click on this, and a new window should pop up. And we're going to ignore this welcome screen. Just click cancel. We'll go to file and click new. And already, this is where it all begins. This is where you can put in some information into the setup file, so people can know where the game came from and what version it is and the name of the application. So the application name is obviously Troy, and application version, I'm not really too sure. I didn't really see what the version was, so I'm just going to put 1.0. The application publisher, which means the developer, whatever, that was made by James Sato. Troy was made by James Sato, so we're going to put Sato Games. And then the website to Sato Games down here below, which of course, if you didn't know, James Sato did create the original Troy, and if you go to the following website that you see on the screen, you will be able to get the sequel, Troy 2000, and you'll be able to get Mage Bros and any other games in the Sato Games collection. Now we're going to click next here, and all this information, just keep it as it is and click next. Okay, so here's an important part here. We want to grab the exe file for this setup. And what this is for is, at the end of each setup, you know how it says, let's create a shortcut to the desktop? Well, in order to create that nice little shortcut, it's going to need that exe file. So we're going to click on Browse here, and then we're going to find the folder to your exe for the single DOSBox game package. So mine was Troy Single Pack. There it is there. Just double click on the exe. And this part here, do not add any files, just the folder to your single DOSBox game package. So we're just going to go and scroll down now again and grab the Troy Single Pack. And yes, you want to include the subfolders. So click yes, and then all we want to do is click next. And again, just keep this all at its default settings here. And we'll click next. And we don't have any information here, so we're just going to click next again. And we're going to keep it at English. Well, if you got a friend who's a different language, then you can set the setup file into the language he'll understand. Okay, so the first one here says custom compiler output folder. So this is where the setup file is going to be saved to. So we're just going to click Browse, and we're going to click on Desktop. So the setup file will be located on the desktop after we have it compiled. So the next step here is compiler output base file name. So obviously we want to name this to the game that you have created. So I'm going to call it Troy Single Pack, and that is it. So we just click Next now, and keep that at its default settings as well, and click Next, click Finish, and it asks you if you want to compile the new script now. And you're going to want to press Yes, so it will make the setup file. And it will ask you if you want to save the script. I click No. I don't understand how to edit the script here. If you do, then you're good to go. So I'm just going to click No. And now we have compiled the setup file. So all we want to do is click the X in the upper right corner. And again, I'm not going to save. I'm just going to click No. And as you can see on the desktop, you have a new file. And that is your setup file for your single game package. And now we're going to just set it up to see if it's going to work. So what we're going to do is double click on the Troy Single Pack and click Yes there, click Next, and okay, so right here, this of course is where you're going to set it up to. You can set it up to anywhere you like. If you want to set it up into another games folder, then you can do that. So we're just going to click Next here. I'm going to put it in my program files x86. And yes, I already have the folder available because I've already have it installed. So I'm just going to click Yes and install it again. And yep, that's going to be the shortcut for the programs. Click Next, and we're going to create a desktop icon and click Install. Now we're not going to launch it, but we're going to see if we have it properly installed. Alright, and as you can see, we have it properly installed on the computer. The icon is there, and as we double click, the game loads, just like any Windows software. So no more having to type in any special commands. Your friends can double click on an icon and load the game without having to do, you know, the old-fashioned DOS methods. Alright, so that is the final step, and now I will see you on my final outage to this tutorial. Alright, so now we have completed the tutorial on how to make a single Dosbox game package. Of course, now it probably will take less time as it did for you watching this video, and I apologize that it took this long, but I have to be specific and make sure that you do this right. And if you have done this right, now you can make your own single Dosbox game packages and wow your friends. I mean, this is pretty amazing to me. You no longer have to use Dosbox to make commands. You have made a Dosbox game look like a Windows-specific software. And it is compatible with an Xbox 360 controller, well, if you did set it up with an Xbox 360 controller. So, I mean, there you go. This is pretty awesome. This is amazing stuff. And I hope you shared this video with your friends and spread the word. I should be hopefully the first person to have done to make it look like a Windows specific software by doing the whole BAT to EXE conversion. That software has been available for a long time, but I don't know if anybody's ever done it with a single Dosbox game package. So I'm just going to salute to you guys now. I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys come back to see another video again. And hey, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys again. Thank you again for watching. Goodbye.